everyone. I hope everyone's well fed and ready for the afternoon. I'm Melissa Davis. I'm the network manager for Press Forward, and I live here in Colorado and have been very active in the local scene. I was director of the Colorado Media Project up until about 6 months ago, and worked for Gates Family Foundation prior to that as well. So welcome to Colorado. But I'm here today as network manager for Press Forward. I'm going to try to narrate just a few slides. I will not kill you death by PowerPoint, I promise. But I just do what, if people haven't heard about Press Forward, then kind of what we're up to and what we're doing and kind of how we're structured. I always like to take just a few minutes, especially when I have a room full of journalists, to just kind of demystify some of the things about Press Forward so that you can really understand what we're doing and how we'd like to look alongside all of you in the field that are working so hard in communities every day. So Press Forward is a nationwide philanthropic initiative. We were started almost 2 years ago with just some ideas and hard work from some of the National Foundation staff members that are, two of the staff members that are here today helped give birth to Press Forward, but MacArthur Foundation, Knight Foundation, Democracy Fund, and about 20 other national foundations came together to say, let's pool some funds and make a nationwide initiative to really stimulate giving and other types of revenue and move and propel the field forward in a way that's quicker and more sustaining over the long term. So far, we've grown over the past 2 years or so. We now have over 90 funders as a part of our coalition. A lot of the additional ones that have come on are at the local level, and you're going to get to hear from 3 of our local leaders here in just a minute. And we also have 36 chapters around the country now. Our primary objectives here, our primary roles are to fund, to really raise new resources, to inspire new philanthropic leaders to join this movement with us, to catalyze and bolster the conditions so that local news can thrive. And we'll talk about the infrastructure we're helping to build in just a moment. And then also to advocate, to be people that are not journalists, that are in the fight and already, working on this, but to bring new voices from outside of the journalism field to advocate for the news that we know that we all need. We are structured, our funding is structured in this way. We have a pooled fund at the national level. We also have a number of our chapters have pooled funds. Colorado Media Project, we were just sitting in a briefing, I think gave out over $1 million last year from their pooled fund. And other chapters across the country are starting pooled funds so that they can do direct grant making in their ecosystems as well. We also have aligned funding. As a funder collaborative, we're bringing funders from the national level and the local level who are interested not just in journalism, but in topics and in community engagement, in civic participation to the table. And they're doing direct grant making to local news outlets and infrastructure across the country. And then, of course, Press Forward Locals, which we're going to talk about more today. So far, this is our latest impact report. We've cataloged over $200 million in grants that have gone out through both our pooled fund, the local pooled funds, and aligned grant making. We're really trying to be rigorous about counting dollars that are new to the field. And so you'll see in the next year or so, some impact ways that we're going to measure impact of new dollars into the field. One of the ways we've recently put money into the field, we had an open call. We received over 900 applicants, small newsrooms of budgets of under $1 million. We did over 200 grants of 2-year grants of $100,000 each, putting over $20 million into the field in September. We're about to announce next month another probably about $20 million through our open call-in infrastructure. These will be much larger grants, up to 1.5 million, probably 20 to 30 grants, and we're really in the last stages of making those selections this week. We're starting to support some state level public policy, so you'll see a little bit more of us, more from us in the public policy space probably in the coming months. Real quickly, this is where our local chapters are. This is one of the things that's the most exciting thing. This is our map. You can see it on our website, and if you go to our website and you click on the states, you can see the community foundation or the philanthropic institution that is heading up each of these press forward chapters in 36 different locales. And then just a quick word about local chapters and kind of our vision for creating local chapters. These are long-term commitments to local ecosystems and a place-based approach to solving the challenges of local news. Our goals are to inspire new donors, to establish pooled funds or aligned giving priorities, conducting research on local news ecosystems so that people have more transparency into who's there, what news consumers are asking for from local news, and other types of things that we want to know. And then partnering with and supporting local newsmakers. And you'll hear us talk a little bit more about ways that chapters are collaborating with their local ecosystems. And then finally, so far this is the best estimate we have yet, but we should be able to track this a little more closely in the months and years to come. But so far we've tracked at least $36 million that have gone out from our local chapters. So with that, I'm going to introduce my esteemed panelists here. Jenny Flynn has served as the CEO of the Community Foundation for Southern Arizona since 2021. Prior to that, she was a senior leader at the University of Arizona Foundation for 20 years, where she raised more than $100 million for the university. And since we're in Colorado, I want to mention Jenny's outdoorsy cred. Early in her career, she was a national park ranger in Denali National Park and Glacier National Park. So thank you for being here, Jenny. Courtney Bengtson, here in the middle, is Chief Strategy Officer at the Wichita Foundation, where she guides the organization's vision, manages a $1 million grant portfolio, and oversees a $5 million impact investment fund. She holds a BA in journalism and an MA in communication, both from Wichita State University. And a fun fact about Courtney, she was named one of the 20 to watch in the 2020s by the Wichita Business Journal and earned a spot on the 40 under 40 list in 2016. So welcome, Courtney. And last but certainly not least is Nikisha Williams. She's the Managing Director of Collective Impact at the Miami Foundation. This is a role that she leads. In this role, she leads cross-sector collaboration by bringing together government, philanthropy, nonprofits, and corporations to solve major community challenges. She also holds a degree in broadcast journalism and Spanish from the University of Florida. And in her spare time, she volunteers with Big Brothers and Big Sisters and serves on other boards and organizations. So thank you for being here. So I'm actually going to kick off with a question to Nikisha. If people in the audience aren't, familiar with the idea of collective impact, I want to unpack that concept a little bit more, because it struck me as we were listening to our first panel with Laura and Tim and Kimberly and Amber, just how much of a collective impact approach some of this ecosystem building work is. And the things that you all are engaged in as collaborative journalists, you might not realize it, but you are playing a part in some real collective impact in the places that you work. So Nikisha, will you tell us a little bit about what is collective impact and what roles do you see Press Forward Locals and even journalism collaboratives playing in collective impact?
Happy to. So, as the team mentioned, I lead collective impact at the Miami Foundation, and I was hired to actually develop the collective impact practice. So, if anyone is good, in fact, I would love to see a show of hands. Who started collective impact before? Okay, handful of people, beautiful. So some of you know that this is a practice that came out of the Stanford Social Innovation Review. And the idea is how can communities do deeper community work that would lead to really systems level change? So if you all know community foundations, you know that systems level change isn't really what we do. Oftentimes there's money that comes in and money goes out. We're working very closely with our donors who were very philanthropically inclined and they want to donate money in our community. But what wasn't happening is that people weren't coming to the table and talking to each other to figure out how we could go a level deeper and how we could really have a deeper impact in our community. And so at the Miami Foundation, we decided to employ a collective impact model with a handful of the issue areas that we're focused on. And so I'm just going to read off here so that you all have it. There are 5 conditions to collective impact, which really are relevant to the work that we're doing related to Press Forward. So 1, you have to have a common agenda. So when you're bringing a bunch of people to the table, you have to decide what is this thing that we are going to go after? What is the thing that we all sitting around the table have decided we want to address? Number 2, there has to be shared measurement. So how are we going to measure our progress to this shared goal? And number 3, mutually reinforcing activities. So this is always my favorite because oftentimes when we think that we're going to do work together, we think that we've got to get the exact same people in the room and everyone's doing the exact same thing. The collective impact actually works best when you're bringing mutually reinforcing partners to the table with the idea that not everyone is doing the exact same thing, but they're contributing something to the ecosystem. They're contributing something to the problem. Everyone knows the role in which they play, and they're able to come together, all working towards this common agenda, all utilizing the shared measurement to figure out how they're reaching their goals. And then there has to be continuous communications. I'm sure many of you have seen the best laid plans that folks come together and nothing happens, right? 6 months later, it is an idea that sits on a shelf because everyone has become too busy. Which leads me to the 5th tenet of collective impact, which is oftentimes utilizing a backbone organization. And so the backbone organization is the one that is making sure that each one of these tenets are moving forward. And so at the Miami Foundation, I would say we really play the role of being the backbone organization and making sure that issues that are of importance in our community, we can help make sure that there's continuous communication. We can make sure that we're bringing the right partners to the table. We can make sure that there's shared measurement, and we're the ones who are taking ownership of the shared measurement and following up with our partners to make sure that they're putting the information into the database. Because again, we all know all of the partners at the table, they have the best of intentions. But when you get back to your office, you're incredibly busy and you're thinking about the thing that you need to accomplish, not this thing that you said that you were going to do with partners. And so this work really is relevant to Press Forward. So our chapter has been around for about a year now. And the Miami Foundation was uniquely positioned to play a backbone role. So we decided to go into our work in partnership with 4 other community foundations in our community. We decided that we didn't want Press Forward to be just a Miami initiative because I imagine it exists in many of your communities, the news does not stop at the county line road or at city, at within the city boundaries. And so we wanted to have a regional approach, which meant we were bringing other community foundations to the table with us. And so the Miami Foundation plays this backbone role in which we are able to make sure that there's the shared measurement. We are able to make sure that there's continuous communication. We can make sure that we are all walking down the same path that we've all agreed upon at the beginning of our work to ensure that we get to our goal. So that is my short, quick second, 5-minute overview of what collective impact is and what we're doing.
I love it. That's perfect. Thank you so much, Nikisha. And that's such good context setting. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to, I'm going to call on Jenny, because Jenny, you have a lot of experience in this type of work, but also you're the beginning of the journey with your Press Forward chapter and the work there. Can you talk a little bit about where you are and kind of how you're approaching the work that you're engaged in?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're the Community Foundation for Southern Arizona, so we are regional. There are only 2 community foundations in Arizona. So it's a different world, right? So we cover the entire border area with Mexico. So we have urban, rural, all kinds of interesting moments. Oh, you can't hear me. A little closer. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So our context is that we're covering 7 counties and about 1.2 million people, and there's only 2 community foundations in our state and other in our area, and we're working as a border region. So essentially, there was a group of civic leaders and philanthropists who were really concerned about the decline of our legacy paper, the Arizona Daily Star, and they tried to buy it and they couldn't. And then they were searching around for a way to bring some hope to what they were seeing as a really decimated information landscape across a very broad and important population and region. They ended up working with the Community Foundation, and we actually started with a pooled fund before we became a Press Forward chapter. So essentially, as a Community Foundation leader, I'm very accustomed, as you've been hearing, we know how to engage donors in causes that they care about and maybe introduce them to causes they don't know about yet, but could care about. So I thought, well, what we can do, what we bring to the table is the ability to help people see the value proposition for our communities of nonpartisan, accurate news and information, and help them understand the transition that was happening sort of before their eyes, but invisibly, of a decline in that, and the fact that there was something kind of insidious coming to fill those cracks. So we established a full fund. We did some significant local fundraising, and our goals, our shared goals as a group, and it's just a single organization at this point with an advisory board, is to raise the philanthropic profile of local news and information and encourage people to think of that as a philanthropic priority alongside the other things that they care about and see the interrelation between them. We do partner, we have a solutions-focused community book club, and we partner with one of our local digital startups for that, as well as a nonprofit. We're bringing in people to do interesting things. We do a lot of interesting programming, but fundamentally, what we wanted to do was raise money and give away grants. So some of the things that I've been, I was talking to Melissa, we don't have the infrastructure remotely like what you have in Colorado. I would say, maybe be looking 10 or 15 years back is where I feel like we probably are, but it's very interesting to see how this could develop. And as somebody who's been directly raising money for this, it's a very interesting fundraising effort because sometimes you're starting with, did you know that advertising isn't paying for this anymore? Did you know that there are nonprofits that do use the information, like really far back in the awareness stage? So moving people towards more awareness and interest in caring about it and engagement has kind of been our journey. We've done we just completed our second round of grants and became a Press Forward chapter about a year ago, and it's just a wonderful partnership to be able to be linked up with other folks like here on the stage and all of you, and to share ideas and to figure out a way to feed what is a very innovative ecosystem, but with tons of gas, especially in Spanish language. So,
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Courtney, you've been at this a while. Courtney, I think I met you maybe about 5 years ago or more when we were both kind of starting out. And I'd love for you to give, Jenny's at the 1 or 2 year mark of her journey, and you've been at it quite a lot longer. Tell us a little bit about, what got you into the work, but also like what have you learned? If there are bright spots or even just learnings that you've acquired over the years.
Sure, thank you. So the Press Forward Wichita chapter was born out of the Wichita Foundation, which is our local community foundation. We began doing this work probably about 6-ish years ago, maybe 7. And really it was because as a foundation, we identified some real key economic challenges for our community through some indicators works that we were doing, like many other community foundations are familiar with. But the key to all of that was there were these economic challenges that we knew existed, but our community in general didn't know about them. And so it really became the core issue that we need to address is access to information. And so we started very small in our work, which was investing in local journalists to attend more national type of professional development opportunities. So we have actually several people from Wichita here today that are all part of the Wichita Journalism Collaborative and have been members and grantee partners of ours for several years. And that was a simple way for us to get started. From there, we've done a lot of experimentation, and that's my biggest lesson learned is we've done a lot of let's try this and see how it works. Let's try this and see how it works. We have been very vulnerable and transparent about we don't know what investments are going to stick in our community. I don't think any one community can copy another. It's not a cookie cutter process. And so we see a lot of programs in a lot of other communities, and we say, hey, we want to bring this to Wichita, but how do we do that in a way that's authentic to our community? So we've been investing in the Wichita Journalism Collaborative for over 5 years. We brought the Documenters program to Wichita about a year ago. We worked with the American Journalism Project and helped to incubate a regional nonprofit news startup, which has since closed, but we were able to bring multiple journalists to our community to bring additional talent and capacity, which has been a great learning lesson for us. So I think overall we've made several investments, and again, some of them have worked well, some of them haven't. We've been, as a foundation, very honest about what we've seen work well and what we think we could help improve upon. But I think that's the biggest lesson learned is as philanthropy, it's not very often that you see foundations admit that we don't know the answers any more than anyone else. And that's, I think, the best role that we can play is to be a partner in the effort and really sit in the trenches in the hard times with these groups that we're helping support, because we are only as strong as the organizations that we can help create, we can help support, and it's really our job to steward the ideas from a grant-making and partnership perspective. But at the same time, I think it's really exposing partners that we work with to other things that are happening across the country, which has also been a real benefit of being part of the Press Forward Network.
Awesome. I love what you just said there, and I want to dig a little deeper and open it up to all of you. And Amber said something about this in the plenary or in the beginning about letting go of the outcomes, and adaptability. And last night at dinner, we were talking about like if philanthropic capital isn't, investment capital to try new things, not everything's going to succeed, and some things won't. So can you talk a little bit about like what's your ideal relationship with grantees that you fund or projects that you support? Can you kind of talk about like the trust? We heard everyone talking about trusted collaborations and relationship building. Talk a little bit about your ideal relationship when you're a grant maker grantee relationship.
I can. Go for it. I can absolutely. The biggest lesson learned was early on in our work with the Wichita Journalism Collaborative. We brought a ton of media outlets together and said, hey, we have this idea. It really wasn't driven at that point in time by the outlets themselves. Lesson learned, it would have probably worked better had it been led by them and we supported it. The foundation was really intimately involved in a lot of the early conversations to a fault, right? We were trying to create trust, and my own personal interest in this work probably got a bit in the way of allowing the outlets to do what they needed to do and for us to really be that support system and not really be fully ingrained. One of the things that we've started, and we've used this as an example across the foundation's portfolio, is that we no longer really call anybody just a grantee. We might call them a grantee partner, or we call them a partner in general, because we really want it to be a working relationship. We tried to create really deep connections with individuals within our partnerships, and so while work-life balance is supposed to be a thing, it's really not a thing. And I think that that's important because I want to be accessible and be available to these partners when they need us. So that's, texting, calling, whatever, weekends. Again, don't take this as, don't do this, but it works really well if you can fully engage. I also recognize, though, that you have to have pretty significant capacity to do that for a large number of organizations. And I think that that's a bit of a barrier. But being human is like the most important part of this. Is we're human just as much as anybody out here, and we really are all working towards the goal.
I want to echo that. I think the ideal partnership is that we are being guided by our grantee partners, 100%. To your point, we don't have all the answers, and I think philanthropy works really well when we understand actually what our superpowers are. Our superpowers are fundraising, right? Our superpowers are convening people. There are a few others, but like those are a couple that I oftentimes come back to, right? Fundraising and convening are things that we do really, really well. But knowing community, that's our grant partner's responsibility. And so I will tell you, there's never a time when I'm developing a grant program that I would not call in my trusted grant partners and say, hey, this is what I'm noodling on. What do you think about this? How could I address this, or how could I change this? This is what I think the outcome could be. Challenge me here, because that is when, one, it is just strong, the program is stronger, but two, it is also reflective of what our community partners are saying. They're the ones who are in communities every single day. And if I were to kind of really hone it in on Press Forward South Florida, I would say, we just had our public launch a few months ago. And when I don't know if you all experienced this, but when you say that you're going to launch a Press Forward chapter, the local media, they get a little nervous, right? They're like, what does this mean for me? Will funding be directed from my organization to now this Press Forward chapter? And for us, it was really important to get media and local journalists in the room to understand, to like express what our intentions are and how we're going about doing it, but also understanding or helping them understand that they are an active player in this work. They are helping us shape the work that we're doing. And so one, it is making sure that we are always in constant communication. Two, it is helping them understand how we are making decisions from step 1 to step 5, so they feel really grounded in it. But I think also, again, foundations are really good at fundraising. Our goal is not to take money from the ecosystem that exists already, but our goal is to talk to our funders and our fund holders who are funding other things and not understanding the connection between, for example, arts and culture and journalism. They don't understand the connection between climate and disaster and local news and information. And so our job is to make sure that we're educating our fund holders about the importance of this work, and ideally bringing more money to the entire ecosystem as opposed to taking money that is already there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think about that a lot of times, getting into rooms that are, funder to funder conversations and being really honest about that, So we only have about 13 minutes left. So I want to take some questions from the audience. And as we're walking over there, I want to ask one, I'll give it to Jenny as we're waiting, but why do funders collaborate? We're here at a collaborative journalism summit. Why do we collaborate?
Funders collaborate for a lot of reasons. Feels very much. For the same reason all of you do, we share ideas. It's also important, when you look at the kind of nonprofit economy, and that includes, nonprofit newsrooms, philanthropy is a really small piece of the funding pie compared to others. And so we have more power when we combine our dollars together. We also recognize that we have a lot to learn, so we learn from each other. And it also gives us a way of bringing more attention to something, so more of the public can understand when something is an issue. And we do have some of those powers that you were just talking about, where we can convene, where we can bring attention to something. So for us to collaborate together creates a story, right? Which is it, and you all know the value of storytelling. When we create those stories, we can bring attention or even change the story, and that is, one of the pieces of soft power that we have that I think we can employ effectively together.
Questions?
Oh, yep. Yep.
You should buy more rice.
Tell me.
How close are you guys to getting a chapter in Virginia?
That's a great question. So our team is like constantly in conversation with folks all around the country. My boss Dale and my colleagues Christina and others are going all over, trying to go through my Rolodex. I know that they were just recently in Virginia. I don't know exactly what they were doing, but talk to me later.
And you probably have this on your website, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. What are sort of the basic parameters that a newsroom must meet before they can be considered for some of your funding?
So that actually changes with each opportunity. So like our first open call was specifically trying to elevate the visibility of smaller newsrooms, that there were really great opportunities out there. And we always do things to get money out into the field, but also for a purpose and to signal to our fellow funders about why they should invest in this field in general. And so one of the most brilliant things that I think Dale Anglin, our director, did when she came on was to structure our very first open call at the smallest newsrooms of budget sizes under $1 million, because we really wanted to have 205 points of light all over the country so that we could point to newsrooms and say, like, these are small, but they're worthy of investment and they're worth paying attention to. So for our first open call, it was that. For our second open call, though, we wanted to spotlight the importance of journalism support organizations. When you have so many small newsrooms and things that are reliant on, big changes in tech, and they need shared infrastructure, journalism support organizations are playing a huge role. We have a project going right now. They are cataloging all of the JSOs across the country. They've come up with over 205. That's national journalism support organizations, membership orgs, anything that's providing services to journalism organizations. And also at the state level, many of your journalism collaboratives are all on the list. But so that was our open call on infrastructure was open to newsrooms or support organizations that were playing a role in building critical infrastructure. So we don't have our next open call priority set, but it'll be a different eligibility.
To build on the question about the chapter in Virginia, if you all are interested in there being a press support chapter in your community, go and talk to your local community foundation. We had to convince our community foundation partners to come to the table with us. We don't always see the journalism focus because we are funding so many other things, but I think the more your local community foundations hear from you and other people, I think they might be willing to take a second look at it. So I know the press support team is doing all they can to talk to partners, but I think it definitely resonates differently when someone in the community is saying, hey, I see this happening nationally and we want it to happen in our community.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. I was talking to a friend from New Hampshire. Where are you in the field? There you are. Hello. Just about like how can we work together to get every single state on the map? And it is going to probably be some of that outreach to your local funders to like really generate the interest. And the role that we can play is when you do have interest of local funders, we come out and host things. My colleague Christina was, I think she was in Rhode Island or I can't even keep track of what state, but earlier this week, working with a bunch of foundations in that state to try to form something. So we're here to kind of help you build those things.
Hi, my name is Richard Watson with the Center for Community News, which is a network of about 200 colleges and universities where universities are bringing their resources to support student reporting. And universities have played a role in by the way, congratulations to getting to 36 press support chapters. That is quite an accomplishment in whatever it's been, a year or so. But colleges and universities have played a role in maybe 3 or 4 of these. And I feel like more of us in the college and university sphere should be collaborating, supporting, and working with all. So if we can help network that, or you obviously probably have your own contacts, but universities are good at raising money also, and we need to put our money into this. So look to us as collaborators also.
I love that. I'm already seeing like matrices of your, with that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I think also one of the reasons that we wanted to really host these at community foundations is that, being a convener, local, many of your higher ed is already working with community foundations and whatnot. So would love to cross-reference that with you.
Hi, my name is Vicki Collins. I'm the publisher of Bucketless Community Cafe. We're online community journalism for the Denver area. And we work with university students from 3 schools here, from CU Boulder, MSU Denver, and DU. And my question for you all is, how can a publication like mine approach our local press forward chapters to talk about collaboration and potential funding and why we would be worthy for support?
I'm happy to take that. Yeah, let's take all the space.
Okay. I'm gonna put on my traditional funder hat. And I would say you come to us and you talk to us about the work that you're doing. We try to know as much as possible in the community, and we don't. And nothing replaces, 1, the personal relationship. 2, you are able to tell us about the work that you're doing, but then we're also able to tell you about our priorities, and we're able to tell you about what we're thinking from funding rounds. And so my recommendation is to not wait, build the relationship, start to have open communication with your funder, so that you make sure you understand how they're thinking about it, but also so that they know who you are as they are thinking about opportunities. Because again, part of it is funding, but also there is a time when we are building something and we are going out to people in the community and saying, hey, what do you think about this? And so I think that there are tons of opportunities. So my big advice, go and have a conversation with your local funder.
I would fully echo all of that. And I think the really, really important word is relationships. I don't think it's all about, especially, Wichita has we have a small portfolio of grant-making dollars. So whether we can actually give you funds, if we can, we'll figure out how to do it. If we can't, we're going to make connections with other places that can provide that to you. And we also are in spaces where there are other funders asking us what's happening, what's of interest to the community, how can we know more about these entities that we haven't yet heard of, or ones that we could support more. It's a lot of relationship building, and I'm going to pause there and say that does also take time, right? So I think one of the most disheartening things that happens as somebody in a philanthropy space is the first time you meet somebody and they sit down within 5 minutes, they want to know how much money you're going to be able to potentially give them. And I would rather create a relationship with you as a person, figure out what your purpose and passion is, and then figure out how we might work together. Community foundations don't function like private foundations. We have a lot of hoops we have to go through to get approvals to happen. It's not our money, right? We've got committees, we've got a board, we've got all these things that we have to go through. And so it doesn't happen overnight. And I think sometimes people think that us as people are the holders of the checkbooks, and sometimes it just takes time.
That's so great. Jen.
I agree. And I would also just, learn what the opportunities are to engage with your local funders in a less formal manner. So, for example, we host a lot of events, and most of the time everyone is welcome. If someone shows up and, starts to form some relationships, it's easy to, make introductions and so on. That happens a lot. I would agree, coming in with an assumption that, you can ask and that, first 10 seconds, you can ask, but typically there's, as you said, there are hoops. So we don't have the power to, or interest in bypassing those hoops. So that's just, start with, this is of interest, and I think it's important for our community. And I will say for us, we explicitly center community. So we work with donors and we support nonprofits, but what we're trying to get at is making our community better. So if you can focus on the community impact, that's going to get you in the door, at least with us.
Okay, and I'll just add one last thing. I mean, you remember I showed the slide with the different types of funds, and the largest one was aligned funding. And what you just heard all of us say is build the relationship. And we're in conversations if we aren't, if our foundation's priorities aren't the exact priorities that are going to fit you, we're talking to a lot of people. And so again, if we have relationships and we can share information about who you are and what you do to others who might be interested. That's also valuable and happening probably behind the scenes more than you know.
Hi, my name is Shelby King. I'm an investigative reporter for Shelter Force Magazine. We do curable housing, we develop many digitization. I'm curious if y'all have taken into account the kind of changing the situation for investigative reporters and reporters in general. I know that we have the Minnesota lady asked about attorney help. There's a really great organization called Lawyers for Journalists that'll help you for free. They're available online. I'm just curious if y'all are thinking about funding potential legal defenses for journalists in the next probably 4 years. And if so, you know, what sort of resources you would suggest people look for who are maybe scared of getting sued.
Yeah, sure. I can take that real quickly. I was looking over your shoulder at my colleague from the Democracy Fund. There's a lot of talk about this right now. It's very timely, and there is a lot of thought being put into how do we bolster those types of organizations like you mentioned, or Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press, or others that are doing safety, security, legal resources, and even helping people combat burnout and just leave the field entirely in mental health. So we have an open call on infrastructure. There are some in that pool that are still being considered and whatnot. And then there's also other aligned funders are kind of really thinking about that specifically. And does anyone know it? So
I'll just say we currently give unrestricted support under our grants, but we are looking at some kind of fund that would allow us to provide quick amount of response kind of work.
I would also say too is wherever you're working, especially from the local perspective, if that's a need in your particular community, go to your community foundation and talk to them about it. We operate a lot on, coming to us and letting us know what your issues are to be able to better support you. Because there are the national resources available. That's typically what we push to because of the capital that we have is not as significant. But if it's an overall need and it's a sort of a collaborative ask, then those are the types of things that we consider.
And also, I would encourage anyone that doesn't have legal liability insurance. I think there are some of the membership organizations that offer like reductions in that. It's probably well worth your investment at this point. Look at those. I think Lion, maybe INN offer reduced rates on those. So. Anyone else? I think we're out of time. Oh, do we have time for one more?
You can make it real quick. We're already 7 minutes over into the lightning talks, but yeah.
Okay, I'll try to be fast. I'm Lee Vandervoot from Uplift Local in Oregon, and to your points about relationship building with funders, we certainly do a lot of that. And we've actually found that, of course, it's super effective over time. But what's more effective is when people approach our regional philanthropies and make a case for journalism who actually aren't journalists. And I'm wondering if you've ever seen coalition building around that kind of campaigning that's more intentional in some of your communities, and if so, what does that look like?
That's exactly how we got started. So I have an advisory board of movers and shakers, and they went and shook down all their friends. And kind of made the case, and then we've formalized it and started making the case to our fund holders and so on. So it really is, us as community members and city leaders making the case for something, and not journalists needing to make the case for something.
Yeah, I would just echo that. When the Colorado Media Project first got started, that was the exact same thing. We just had, it was mostly civic leaders, business leaders, higher ed, philanthropic leaders starting it. And so that was the first time I think that a bunch of civic leaders had come together to really pay attention to the issue, to start researching, like learning about what's going on in the field. And I think that is the fundamental idea behind Press Forward, is that we need more people advocating for a healthy news and information ecosystems. And so we're here as your partners and allies in that. Thank you for your time.